Hello everyone, I wanted to do a recording on the Super People Early Access. I think this game has potential, but there is a lot of roadblocks in the way, in my view. I'll go ahead and start with one of them, and that's what I call the dual-edged sword. As you can see on my screen, there's a bunch of different classes that you can select when going into Super People. The problem is, unless you have money, you're not going to be able to select your class. So that means if you don't pay anything, you are quite literally at the mercy of RNG in terms of which class you get. So that's where the dual sword comes in. Because I can see it as a way to, I guess, limit super sweats, but at the same time, it puts more of an RNG element on the outcome of the game. So that's why I call it the dual-edged sword. But here's the problem with all that. Is it doesn't matter which game you play. You will always have some sort of super sweat in even unranked. Just look at League of Legends if you want a great example of this, because there are some people who will just straight up BM you by just typing GGEZ, short for easy. People do that, even in unranked League of Legends. It's not uncommon in games. So no matter what you do, there will always be super sweats. In my view, it's worse to force a game to rely on RNG than that. Because let's just face it, I mean, you're just going to have to deal with super sweats when you play games, unfortunately. Now let me get into the RNG elements of things, both with classes and attachments. I'll start with classes, though. The problem with classes is even if you do pay the money to get the class, it may not roll the specialty weapon that you want. You see, each class can roll a specialty weapon where they'll do more damage with it, and basically things like that. The problem is, though, each class can roll a weapon outside of their intended play or kit. Meaning that a sniper can roll ARs, a marine can roll sniper rifles. So that's obviously a problem. I think that the best way to correct this problem is to just define the classes. For example, I think that the sniper should only be able to roll sniper rifles or marksman rifles. I think that the marine should only be able to roll marksman rifles and ARs, because the M16 is basically a marksman rifle in this game. Even though it's labeled as an AR, it technically is a marksman rifle, simply because it has the same range as the SKS, Mini-R, and things like that. So I think that the Marine should be kind of like a Special Forces marksman, and the sniper should just be, well, sniper. That's kind of like the example I'm going for here. This should apply to really all classes. They need to remove the rolling of weapons that just don't make sense for their kits or playstyle. That's the classes. Let's talk about attachments. I've been playing Super People since the closed beta, and I've been with it even up to early access. One of the things that I almost never see is suppressors as ground loot. I just almost never see them. Heck, it's very rare I even find muzzle attachments in general, and that's a problem because classes like the Marine have a perk that says they do plus damage with suppressed weapons. So how can you expect that kit to reliably get where they need to be without the personal box? That's kind of the issue here that I'm seeing with the loot. And let's also be real that I think they just roll some of the worst weapons as well, because there's some weapons in this game that just simply should not exist because of how bad they are. But that's another rant for another day. I'll try to keep on topic. That said, though, I just want to quickly go into a little discussion here. I think that it's great when you have classes that do like plus damage with suppressors or things like that, because it really does define a particular play style. I think that should be kept on the Marine, and if they do plan for any other classes similar to the Marine, then I think they should probably do something similar, because it does encourage a different play style, and I'm all for that. But moving on now, back to some other things that I kind of want to talk about with super people. There are certainly some balance issues that I think should be addressed to kind of help with the game. For instance, the teleporter. The teleporter class can teleport at a very long distance, in my opinion. The problem with this is it doesn't seem to be restricted in what it can do. It's possible to teleport right on top of somebody. I don't think that should be a thing. And as far as the one class with the power slide thing, I forget which one that does that right now off the top of my head, but whoever has the power slide, this is the same issue that we've been seeing with Call of Duty and the other ones, in that it really is just not a great mechanic. And a lot of players just hate the whole sliding thing. I think that they should have learned from Call of Duty before proceeding with something like that. But that's just my take on it. If somebody disagrees with that, that's on them. One other thing related to balance I want to kind of bring up real quickly is the weapons themselves. If you look at the armor page when you log into Super People, it'll tell you the stats to each of the weapons. If you look, at least at the current time of this recording, all SMGs have the exact same range. I was kind of hoping that for the classes that are SMG specialists, that there would be one with a little more range than the others. I was hoping that would be the UMP. It would make sense from a stats perspective, but also a real-life perspective, because there is a civilian model of the UMP in real life with an extended barrel intended for civilian target practice use. It would make sense to have that as the range SMG. Plus, it hits hard, so it kind of helps with damage drop-off. But yeah, and then as far as like the other stuff like shotguns and things, I definitely did want to see more range, at least on the pump action shotgun, the 870. The auto shotgun I think is probably going to be too much if it gets more range, but the 870 I think should get more range to help the shotgun people deal with the limitations that is shotguns, or either that just remove shotguns entirely, because the thing you have to realize with any BR is that whenever you decide which weapon to go with or class, it has to be one that's versatile, because you never know where the ring's going to be, you never know what the terrain's going to be in that ring, so on and so forth. So you really have to prepare for the unknown, is essentially what a BR is. Shotguns aren't a great way to prepare for that. SMGs, kind of pushing it. I would say it would be better just to have carbines than ARs, and then something else as kind of like the weapon category. That way, carbines are a little bit more defined and better than SMGs. More or less is where I'm going with that. But that's another rant for another day. It's the same rant I have with Call of Duty. But yeah, that's really all I can say right now on the early access. Now, as far as should you try it, I'll end there. I would say, yeah, you should try it. It's free to play, so why not? You know, just see if the game's for you. And if it isn't, just uninstall it. That's the beauty of a free to play game, is that you can try it regardless of what the review says, and determine if you agree with those reviews or the opinions of others. But that's all I have to say. Thanks for listening.